Today my topic is freedom of expression. Before I made my mind to talk about freedom of expression, I called my parents who live in China, and I asked their opinion about my topic. They seem to be worried about it after hearing my idea, and seriously warned me not to touch this sensitive topic. They said it was dangerous and I'd regret it if I did that. Actually, it is their objection that makes me more insisted on my original idea, which is that Chinese government should give their people the freedom of expression. In 1989, a tragedy happened in Tiananmen Square in China, but after that, all of the relevant information was blocked by the government. Just like nothing had happened. In 2010, I came to New York, 20 years later, and I was totally shocked by the video when I saw it online. I saw hundreds and thousands of demonstrators assembled on the square. They petitioned for government for democracy and the freedom of expression. However, what was waiting for them wasn't government's grant, but the tanks and the military forces. They were sent to fight against the demonstrators, to arrest demonstration leaders and put them in prison. Soldiers were not even shot unarmed university students. That night, crying and wailing echoed over Tiananmen Square. People my parents' age must remember it. They know about it, they feel indignant toward it. Most of them avoid talking about it. They keep silent. Not only because they are unwilling to record the unpleasant memory, but they feel revenge if they openly discuss it. That's why my parents warned me not to talk about it. Tiananmen Square was a terrible tragedy that was a big mistake of our government to reject our people's petition for freedom of speech through violence. However, how about 21 years later? Have they admitted this big mistake? Not really. As we all know, in the 21st century, more than 2 billion people are now online. The internet has become the biggest public space for free expression and communication. It has become a new frontier for people in the struggle for human rights and freedom. We should be given the rights to express views freely online. These rights are universal, whether they are exercised in a public square or on a personal blog. But my government continues to restrict internet freedom by all means. They have built up a most impressive Great Firewall. They have more than 300,000 internet policemen seriously censoring all the content online. They crack down on internet freedom with the help of the biggest IT companies in the world. They always redirect research requests to error pages. They monitor chat rooms, delete individual blogs, block websites, and imprison people who are simply posting and sharing information. Some brave people stand up to call for human rights and freedom of speech. But I see the Tiananmen Square tragedy seems to be occurring again. Liu Xiaobo is a Chinese writer and human rights activist who has been struggling for the rights and freedom for many years. He won the 2010 Nobel Peace Prize. He is a hero in the world, but he is evil in China. Our government has blocked all the information about him. Liu is defined as a political criminal and charged with inciting subversion of state power. Wang Xiaoning is a Chinese dissident and was originally an engineer. He was arrested in China in 2003 for posting electronic journals calling for democratic reform and an end to single-party rule. Wang was convicted of charge of subversion and sentenced to 10 years. Ai Weiwei is a Chinese artist and human rights activist. He posted a long list of students' names who died in the massive earthquake in 2008, and he intends to attract the public attention to substandard school construction and expose the local government's corruption. But he was detained and beaten by the policemen. Why were those people treated so unfairly? I mean, they didn't slander the government. They just gave the opinion and told the truth. Actually, they didn't even violate the law, because Article 35 of the Chinese Constitution says people have the rights to freedom of speech, of the press, of the assembly, of the association, of procession, and demonstration. Since the rights has been promised by the Chinese government, it should belong to Chinese people. Why are people who obey the law punished or sent to jail? And why does government violate the Constitution with impunity? I feel ashamed about my government. Even in elementary school, children are taught that the more they listening to the different opinions, the more they will make the objective decisions. However, our government doesn't understand it. Shutting dissidents' mouths is a foolish behavior. It doesn't show strong power by persecuting unarmed people, but it demonstrates a lack of self-confidence. It is just like an ostrich who buries his head in the sand and feels facing reality and challenges. The authorities' intolerance and suppression of dissidents is creating a degenerated atmosphere in our society. People are learning to flatter the authority without sincerity. People are learning to hide their real thoughts in order to avoid getting into trouble. That reminds me of a children's story, The Emperor's New Clothes. People in my country are trying to become that kind of citizens in that story. Shutting dissidents' mouths is also dangerous. Look at Egypt. That happened just 1 month ago. It is a great example of social revolution. People organized a march to call for the right of freedom and to fight against suppression on cyberspace. In Egypt, the government also erected barriers, and the protesters were attracted, blocked, and arrested. But the Egyptian protests continued despite the internet shutdown. 80 days later, the president resigned. I am a patriot, not a rebel. I am not attempt to incite people to go against my government. I think the Egyptian people protested because of a deep frustration with the political and the economic condition of their lives. While the intensity of social conflicts in China wasn't reached such an extent, I cite Egypt because I want to alert the authority in China that they can block the internet, they can't block people's minds. They can filter the information they don't meet their taste, but they can't filter the dissidents deeply oppressing people's heart. Actually, the internet didn't create action, but people did. No matter if it is online or offline, where they will practice voicing their opinions, suppression, the freedom of expression of people just like setting a they were practicing voicing their opinions. suppression the freedom of expression of people, just like sending a time bomb which will explode one day. Today, my words might have been censored and furiously erased by my government from the history, but it's my responsibility to express myself in hopes that history will provide the truth. Thanks.
Any more coming? Oh, Audrey. You're working on yours? Okay.